I am your King, President, Godfather, Chief Champ Vinci, Dr. Champ Nicholas Lee Sutton, the leader of the free world, the world that believes in freedom. And somewhere between freedom and not having freedom is the justice system, or the ideology of justice. That you have a right and that you have a wrong, or a guilty or a not guilty. And one party wins and one party loses. And everyone that could be responsible for the downfall of those people are ignored. And the idea that when they want to punish someone or to judge them publicly, as the justice system targets people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 or 66 days a year. It's literally what they do. They target people and wait on them so that they can punish them. And while they are punishing people, they are ignoring the government and the leaders that have promoted that form of law and order. And what it is, it's the hate of the great. And even if you don't choose a side, mathematically, if you just looked at Democrats and Republicans, mathematically, if you have to choose one that dislikes the other group, then you are cutting your ability at least into half. And then, once it gets cut in half, then we know how everybody wants their piece of the pie. And so even as a great nation, the moment that we divide it in half, and one group has to be against the other, right or wrong, Democrat or Republican, and there's no actual hierarchy that's in place to decide what form of intelligence do you want to run your nation. Do you want your best and brightest and those that want to make you as much money as you can and make you as healthy as you can? Or do you just want all people that hate large, smart people and blue-eyed white people and those of us with red skin and our friends, the Indians, us colonials and Indians, don't have a place in this system that they call justice. See, there's a difference. Sometimes you have born heroes, and some people are not born heroes. And those of us that I just mentioned, we were born to be heroes. I know that for sure. That's the talent of our blood. That's the talent of our minds. That's the talent of our hearts. It's the talent of our ability to fight or to compete. This justice system is for those that are weaker than the great ones. It is a British format that was carried over from the pyramids in Egypt. And prior to that, into the Garden of Eden. And in that Garden of Eden, when feminism began, when hierarchy of what God designed, and what's absolutely obvious unless we just pretend that it's not, is this hierarchy that God decided that he wants some to be really strong, and those of us he calls men. And he wants some to be a little bit less strong, and those he calls women. And whether people want to ignore that basic fact, such is their version of justice. Those that can ignore that, their justice is injustice to strong people. It's unjust to the strong, to the intelligent, to the heterosexuals. It is injustice to all things of God. It is at that very moment when they say, no, what God designed is for one group to be a little bit more stronger and to have certain responsibilities, and for the other to be a little bit weaker and to be mothers. And the moment that people separate that, is their justice is no longer justice for men, and it's no longer justice for God's design, and nor is it justice for common sense. And so the tool of injustice is feminism. And the idea of what I will call Lilliputianism. It's when they take whatever the smaller may be, and promote them. And you'll see that in our society. You'll see a lot of small people with jobs and a lot of big people that are either having to just be very quiet so that the Lilliputians, little people, don't get scared that we said something, or that, hey, we matter too, even though we're big and strong and white and red-skinned and blue-eyed, and we like Indians. I know that makes us weird in today's culture, yet it is...
Sorry, Sue, I can't get the Wi-Fi. No one can. We got...
It is the true downfall. And so we live in a world that thinks that injustice for all is a good thing. Well, that means one team wins and one team loses. And for the team that wins, that's great. And for the team that loses, that's poverty, that's depression, that's suicidal thoughts, that's sadness, that is all things that are weak, that is strong people having to come to a church to beg for food, or come to church and beg for food, not in order to, not having all those needs, to come to church and to be born of the Spirit, to have the fruits of the Spirit my entire life, the things that these other people say that we need. And I've had them my whole life. Yet because I'm big, I'm tall, I'm white, and blue-eyed, and red-skinned, and I like Indians and heterosexual, because of those things, I am hated in this nation. And the exchange for the hate of the great is Lilliputianism. And it's this idea that because the women were behind, and they were born to be behind, they were born to be lesser in those ways. And they were designed to be that. And because of the denial of that, we live in a world that hates God's strongest people. And then people go to church and pray that the weak become strong. We live in a world that doesn't want the smartest people in charge. And so then the sick pray and pray and pray and pray for healing, and we don't have the smartest people in the medical systems. It's this idea that to continuously delay, to watch the strong people suffer, to only have the gladiators in the ring fighting, to only have the strong healers hanging on crosses. That the more powerful, more talented we are in a system that's based on justice, this planet's not safe for strong people. And when it's not safe for strong people and smart people, then there's nothing to aspire for. And when there's nothing to aspire for, and there's not an economy that has mathematical sense, then it's limited resources. And when it comes to limited resources, that's when you have to take from human beings, because it's not being created. So an economy that is not about creation and flowing is not an economy of God. It's not an economy of common sense. It's not an economy of good leadership. It's actually not even an economy. It is turning off the water and saying, we got water, and the water shut off. That would mean you don't have water because your water shut off, which is the same thing as the economy. And then they will hide an economy that has been shut off behind the disagreements between two groups of people again. And you never see the strong people involved. No, never see the strong blue-eyed people involved, and the Native Americans. Yet we see a lot of the other, and there's nothing I love more than women. I love making love to women. I love them in general, but I really like making love to them. I like the way they look. I like the way they smell, most of them. I like how their skin's softer. I like the feel of a kiss. So this has nothing, and I like the feel of the rest. So this has nothing to do with disliking women. It has everything to do with the enemy of this planet is something called justice. And that enemy uses feminism and the killing of the great to entertain the weaker people. If you can, an enemy's easiest place to hide is behind a word or an ideology like Christianity or women or children or justice. And if the enemy can get behind something, and if the enemy can get behind something that's weak and make a strong point behind something that's weak, and it makes it against the strong people, and the strong people are actually doing something that's better than what the weak are doing, which is nothing more than arguing. And when you can do that, there is no freedom. The justice system is a torture system. It's a hypnosis of a word that sounds fun to people, justice. And it translates into torture. It translates into division. It translates into never-ending public argument. So the idea, people would then want to question me and say, what, there's not a justice system? You don't believe in a justice system? I believe in a performance system. No, I don't believe in a justice system. Should one exist? Yeah. If the performance system fails, and then we have a performance system that is failing. In other words, if a person or a group or couple or anybody else is having difficulties in their life, and I'm not talking about the creepy send them off to counseling, the creepy send them to a prescription pill, none of that poisons from hell will ever help anybody. And we can prove that on brain maps. That's not an opinion. Yet the idea of a community having leaders, and the idea of, if, say, a man and a woman got in an argument, the idea that ever makes it to court is the idea that everything in that community is broken. And it's what's used to divide everything. And it's this master weapon that kills everything. They pull it out on everybody. We'll get you with that justice system. And ignore all the things that are lacking from the leaders. So my vision of what a justice system is first of all, is humans got to have what they need. And you probably shouldn't be judging people that don't have much money. You probably shouldn't be judging people who can help the world. You probably shouldn't be judging people if you think that some of their behaviors are strong or angry or even sad, unless you're willing to ask them who their enemies are. And when they tell you who their enemies are, you believe them. And then, even beyond that, when we tell you who our enemies are, you help us defeat our enemies. Because if you're not willing to help create a solution, then the idea to judge a human being altogether is like swallowing your own tongue. Just your tongue rolling back in your throat and choking on it. That's all it is. And the idea of what's between great leaders like myself and what people need is this Lilliputianisms. It's a justice system. What's between all these people's prayers? And this king leading them to that, this president leading them to that? It's a justice system. And that justice system has zero productivity and goodness. So they're trying to judge people to see if us great people, they can find a reason to cancel us. And if we judge the justice system, then who's to judge the justice system? That's what I've been sent here to do. Well, their system does nothing but torture people. Their system does nothing but divide human beings. Their system does nothing but divide families. Their system does nothing more than incarcerate strong men. Their system does nothing more than incarcerate women that should have been taught to be nicer women. All their system does is hurt people. So they use their system. It's kind of one of these mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the cruelest of them all? And you'll find the ones that are the cruelest of them all, if you look at them, they're wanting to take a moment in our life or a few moments and cancel our greatness. And when you look at the history of the justice system, there's not a single thing that's good about it. Slavery had 10,000 to 100,000% more success than the justice system. Slavery had way more success than the justice system. A system that in slavery you had your strongest people at the top. And you had your women teaching. And on your campus or plantation, you had a church. And in that area, when you listened to your top person, and when those top people worked with the top people from other areas and other plantations, and the people in your area listened, and they worked for a common goal, this nation was built into the strongest nation the world has ever seen. And in the same way, just like having all the farming and strength and education all pulled together and communities working together, the same thing that happened in the Garden of Eden, feminism stepped in. And when feminism stepped into the United States of America, the jobs that men would have had, the strongest, smartest, brightest men to protect this country, weren't there. And all these children that have gone missing, we would have had more women to be able to help with that. And when you have a nation that believes that women should be able to spend some time at home to raise their children, that means that the leaders of that nation must demand that the men make enough money that we can support a family, even if it's just one person in the workplace, or even 3 or 4 days a week with as smart as we are, so that women can spend time with children. Yet this whole idea of promoting women ahead of men means that we don't have enough children coming into this land. So again, from the killing of God's children, the pyramid of a strong man with a bunch of women in the way of the other strong men, as opposed to a strong man and he has a kingdom. If he has a bunch of women, then the women love him. And that's their job. And whatever he needs them to do is their job. Yet the idea to put a bunch of women between the leader and a bunch of weak people and then use a justice system to deny the people what they need is what darkness is based on. The same way that day that feminism began a justice system is the same day that we knew that people that would use a justice system to run a nation, or a justice system rather than a production system, rather than a hierarchy system, would be the same people that are trapped as the evil leaders of darkness. That in this world, in this day and time, for these leaders to think that they're the leaders that should be in there, and the idea that we're having all these issues, is the example that they aren't smart enough to do that. When leaders run out of intellectual talent and they mess up the hierarchy, they have to turn to the justice system to trap people because they're not smart enough to lead them. So the ultimate trap in this world is these ideas of forgiveness to get people to come to your church, but then not defending them as a community up at a courthouse to where they should be marked innocent because I am. But now I'm trapped into something further. So whether any of you know Governor Kemp, if he can offer a pardon or reverse this, or any of you all know a good lawyer, or if any of you all know Joe Biden and he can pardon this, or somebody can step into this. Because what we have is an invasion in our nation. It's a judicial invasion. And they're using our weak people to go against our strong people and giving the weak people the power to do it. And that power is called a justice system. And those weak people are not focused on how to get people money. Those weak people in the justice system are not focused on how to go find those children. Those weak people in the justice system are not focused on how to make men great. Those weak people in the justice system are not focused on how a nation needs a man in the workplace and potentially a woman at home when she's having children. Because that's good, that's healthy, it's enjoyable. And in order for a justice system to be just enough for us to be able to even stay into family, that means that justice system would have to hold the politicians. in place and the economics in place. And when that justice system hasn't held the economics in place, hasn't protected us from those evil leaders, hasn't kept the medical systems in place, hasn't kept the protection of us in place, what we have is a justice system treason. It's justice system treason. They don't have the results to defend what they're doing. Their leadership model of justice is failing everyone. Our enemies have invaded us through that justice system and used many people, including our mothers, brothers, sisters, or more so our mothers and sisters or female friends, in this power trip that feminism is exactly what this world needs. It makes them feel good. It's a good trick. It's like the word justice. Like, come on, women. Yeah, it's the same thing. It sounds good. It feels good to women at some point in time. But just like in the Garden of Eden, when you do that, trouble begins. They begin to kill us men. Because they see us men as secondary people, and that's not what we're made to be. That's just not our design. And when the world can see those that are supposed to be in first place as second place are easily attacked in a justice system, that's an invasion. That's a military invasion. That's an invasion of darkness. And everyone connected to that and continuing that, I pray the power of God and the power of the people destroy every single one of you. I pray this message gets to everyone on this planet and everyone in the justice system so that you can make a choice. Do you want God in heaven and His people to kill every one of you? Or do you want to put the right leaders in place so that the people can get well? So that we don't have things going to trial? To me, as the leader of this planet, the idea that these things continue to go to trial is the idea that those systems and their people and their communities and the churches and all their community groups are corrupt. Every single one of them. The idea that that people are getting tax cuts for churches, and then people are getting taken to court and called guilty or no load, then where's the church not stepping in to protect us from our government? That's why they're supposed to be separate, so a church can stand up for you against the government and say, no, our community's good. Get the fuck out of here. No, our nation is actually good. We have the right leaders in place. When you have the right leaders in place, and even the complete plantation, even slavery style over the weak and those that are behind. Yeah, sometimes you got to make them go to school. Yeah, sometimes you got to teach them. Yep, sure do. Sometimes you got to make sure they know how to behave, and we keep them near our properties, and we all make money together. They might misbehave. There might be a punishment. What the fuck does that got to do with the money we got to get? What the fuck does that got to do? You take somebody out of a plantation system, you have one less soldier. You have one less man that can create babies with the women. You have one less worker. The justice system, that split between the knowledge of good and evil, it may need to exist. It should be the last choice. To me, anything going to the justice system at all is cowardly, is lack of intelligence, it's stupid. Anything going to the justice system means that the people leading have completely failed us. Yet this failure is hidden behind words that people even pledge to, injustice for all. That means torture for everybody. And only half of them are going to get it, even though it's supposed to be torture for everybody and justice for all. So right now, we don't have a group that holds the justice system accountable. This king does, and I find it guilty in all of its participants. Until then, I pray that someone gets rid of those accounts, and I never even got a letter in the mail, an official letter from these people. And they're destroying my life and interfering in my life, and that's war. That's what we call war. They've declared war against me. And I pray that every one of them gets slaughtered for it. I pray they get this message first. And as usual, we will let you know, and we have agreements that can fix these things. But you don't want our agreements that can end suffering? Don't you think that's what darkness is? People that get in the way of ending suffering? Well, then the justice system is evil. It is our enemy. And I pray this message gets to the people that stands up for us against that. They're trying to mess with me in Hall County about false charges.
My son is Braxton, and he was diagnosed with sleep.
A 5-year torture of me, and then even the state-appointed lawyer lied to me. And then the prosecutors get up there and say they don't even have a case against me. And they just had to trick me into saying that they were going to put me in prison if I didn't accept a NOLO agreement. That's what I was told. You will be put in prison or you accept this NOLO agreement. That's what I was told. Threatened. Not a single cop that came that night felt like I was guilty. The girl there didn't feel like I was guilty. I know I'm not guilty. The security guard didn't think I was guilty of anything that night. And then I get chased down and harassed by all this other stuff, and then it seems to turn into some form of almost like a never-ending live torture television show that tortures the man that has the answers that people pray about. So when I look at my enemies, it's the word justice, and it's everything related to feminism or minorityism. Has nothing to do. I have plenty of friends that are every single color, but we can't take care of them. They're poor too. Why? Because they hate blue-eyed, red-skinned men that love women and think an economy ought to be able to handle a family even if only the man works. And that even he'd have time to come home and spend time with his kids. The only reason that is not the standard in this country is because we've been invaded. And because the leaders are stupid. That's no disrespect to Biden or Kemp or anybody else. Look, when you're not getting the job done, then it's either one of two things. You're either fucking stupid or you have something in the way of you getting the job done. And in this nation, it's called the justice system. So to Governor Kemp, you're either fucking stupid or you need to wipe out this fucking justice system because you're not able to get enough done. Same thing to Joe Biden. You're either fucking stupid or this justice system's in your way. So I'm asking for those two men to go to war with me against these things. Arrest every single one of them. Put them in the deepest, darkest prisons you possibly can. Because as long as they're taking good, smart people off the streets or not allowing us to have money, that's increasing the opportunity for violence in this nation. And that's exactly what they've caused at this point in time. The want for every single human to have to defend themselves as if it's life and death, so that the entertainment world can think that watching humans suffer is what's cool to do, or what's conservative to do, or what's right from an angry liberal to do. It's ignorant, it's evil, and it allows the downfall of all human beings. I make this a prayer, yet I pray this in real fashion. In the name of God, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, Muhammad, Gandhi, Buddha, Krishnov, and King President Godfather Chief Champ Vinci. Someone sit here to fix this kind of stuff. And all the other great humans, we pray in all of your names. If you're a great human and you hate them too, we pray in your name too. We believe you're parts of God. You've been taught that we're no good because of a justice system teaches you you're no good. And what's the gateway to a justice system that teaches you no good? What did we learn early in the Bible, earliest in history? The downfall of man is what? Feminism to the justice system. It's the hate of the strong for the sake of argument, hidden behind the woman or the weak people. Lilliputianism. the gateway to darkness, to blame the great heroes so that we die, so that those that are weak and have been over-empowered can be full of pride, greed, and spite. To the justice system, you are our enemies, and I pray that every single one of you retire, and whoever those clowns were that showed up the other day, I want every one of them in jail not to be let out. If you want to put them in dark cages in the dark and feed them cheese and bread, that's fine with me. That's what I'm hoping for today. So you want a world of equality? And I'm sitting here trying to heal people and help them? And you're putting me through torture and suffering using a justice system? Then mirror, mirror on the wall. I pray for every single one of you or y'all's fall. That's what I pray for. That the entire system that you're connected to hurting great men because you're little tiny little people. And I'm not talking about everybody that's small, but that's a little tiny people ideology. It's not what us warriors respond to. And I pray that every single person that they've hurt and put through this stupid system is put in dark cages until I can get this system fixed. So when will they be let out of prison? The faster I can get the system fixed. So how fast do they want it? I pray for every world leader to join this attack. We are not attacking the United States of America or its government. We are attacking the justice system. It has attacked us, and it has zero results of good. Only formats of torture. I've offered them solutions to get people well, and they've denied me for trying to make people well. So even when a solution was given to them, they said, no, they do not want that. Their final resting place. And I pray them death, and I pray that they maybe rest in peace. And everybody that's been enjoying entertainment on TV of watching humans suffer as your entertainment, remember the story of Samson. You may think it's cute to be that little heifer, that little slut running her mouth. You know, that story should be taught, that little fucking bitch. What an evil little fucking cunt. That's how that story should be taught. You want to know the fucking baseline of that story? And then Samson met an evil little fucking cunt. And her evil little fucking cunt and her fucking cunt fucking family ruined everybody's goddamn life under right and wrong. Well, Samson did this. Well, Samson did that. And then they taught the rest of the world that as long as an evil fucking cunt is fooling a big man, then ignore that evil little cunt and blame the big man. It's disgusting. And if humans don't like my language, then aren't you supposed to forgive me? And if you don't like my language, well, that's a little bit too late. I was nice in the courtroom. I did the right thing that night. I tried to protect this nation and all of you and that girl that night. And you deny me the opportunity of life and prosperity? Only a stable mind would be angry. Only a stable mind, a clear conscious mind, would know to use words like those stupid little fucking cunts. That's what an innocent mind says to the people that declares war against them. You're declaring war against the great humans and men of this nation and of this world. All to do what? Be some little punk in a fucking courtroom or in a justice system? Justice is our enemy. Performance is what we're made for. We can increase performance and help people get better. There's really not much of a need for a justice system. The justice system only tells a great leader like King, President, Godfather, Chief Champ Vinci how failed the communities and how failed every fucking church is. And how failed every educational system is. That's all it tells me. For that many things to go to the courtroom, that means every system's failing. That means every leader's failing. And we got the wrong people in place. a justice system to an intelligent man is a joke. It's toilet paper on your ass. Why are people, if we look at this from plantation, why are you telling us what our people in our community can and cannot do? Plantation versus justice system, or even slavery versus justice system. Slavery will defeat it every time. Lilliputianism or feminism-led justice system is the fall of man. That's what darkness is based off of. You're involved in that, you're involved in darkness. You're involved in torture, you're involved in anti-God. You're involved in the guaranteed fall of everything that's supposed to be good. This nation and all of its people that promoted that feminism and all that weakness forward are guilty of using the justice system to torture the correct answer, to torture those that can get the job done, to torture us in something underneath called justice. So the social experiment that we were already warned about in the Garden of Eden, like page 3 of the Bible, said don't do that. Don't use feminism, put the women forward and let them start using the justice system against people. Such is the fall of mankind. From every level, we find all of you guilty in the justice system. And if that means I have to find your souls guilty first, and your souls change us around immediately, that'd be a good day. Yet I don't think your souls have the character or the strength to do it, to be honest. I still like people. I told Brother Wayne I was going to send him a message, and this isn't towards him. You know, if he's involved in that, then it's towards everybody. But I went a little bit deeper than I thought in my message I was going to send to him. And my food might be burning, so I'm hopping off here. You've heard my prayers. Your feminism and weak little man-led justice system, like I saw in that courtroom the other day, is what darkness is. And we find that darkness guilty. And we want that darkness and every single bit of it and everyone related to it. So if you have pretty little girls or young people you care about, don't let them get in those games. It's a slaughterhouse, and they've slaughtered our people. And God wants revenge. And I want to fix this nation. So between God's revenge and Champ Vinci's solutions, this is the way to a greater day. So be it. Amen.